there, I'm Steve, and welcome to Jamsin Entertainment. Today on Throwback Thursday, I'm re-reviewing THX1138. Yeah, the first one was more of a recap, scene by scene, not really a review. That's why I'm taking another look at it. This will be the third time I've seen this film, and I'm ready to take another crack at it. I'm also revisiting something else. I've become an Amazon affiliate again. Yes, again. I forgot to mention that last time. It's why I didn't continue to be an Amazon affiliate. It's silly me, thought it was enough just to put links in the description below, but stay tuned to the end of the video to find out more about my Amazon affiliation again. THX 1138 is George Lucas's first film, and it is actually my favorite George Lucas film. I know, sounds a little controversial, but it's a really good movie. And we're going to get into why it's a good movie. It was originally a student film written by Walter Murch and Matthew Robbins and directed by George Lucas. And this film actually won some film festival awards. But Lucas wanted to turn it into a feature film, and he had help with that from his friend Francis Ford Coppola. Yes, that Francis Ford Coppola. With the feature film, it was written by George Lucas and Walter Murch. It stars Robert Duvall. I believe this is his debut film. THX 1138 is set in a dystopian future where, like all dystopian futures, individuality is completely stripped away. And the way they portray it here, everyone wears the same white jumpsuits, their heads are shaved bald, they're heavily medicated, and it's not only technology that's policing them and watching them, but they are watching each other. It's actually more disturbing that people are watching people as their job, or in THX's case, his job is on the assembly line to make the robotic policemen that later on in the movie will capture and imprison him. It's amazing yet frightening how this government, which is also the church, has created its own circle of life. So you have technology that monitors them, but you also have people in offices watching people. So it's not really AI generated, except for like the robotic policeman. It's people making sure that other citizens are taking their meds, are not violating any laws, and stuff like that. For instance, THX from the beginning is having difficulty concentrating on his job. He almost had an accident. He puts together like the upper body portions of the robots, so it's like the chest and head up. Well, one of the things he handles, I'm pretty sure they're referring to it as uranium, which is like the energy source for these robots, because they, in another factory, show that an accident happens and there's an explosion, and the state tries so hard and is successful to an extent to pull the wool over these citizens' eyes that when that accident happens, they actually announce over the PA system, like, there's nothing wrong. We just had an incident.
An incident?
A nuclear incident. But you are safe. There's nothing wrong. Do not worry. Take your meds. And another part that keeps the people in line, if you feel that you are slipping or if you need any kind of guidance, you can go to this lovely booth with a picture of this bearded dude that speaks in the most monotone voice you can possibly imagine, and it's also completely automated. THX and a couple other characters talk to this picture a few times throughout the movie, and each time it starts with the same answers and ends with the same answers. And most of the time, the answers that the automation gives have nothing to do with what was said by the character. And before you start off, this is the church part of it. You have to recite like a creed or like a pledge or something like that before you can start confessing or or expressing yourself in this booth. So as I mentioned, THX eventually gets imprisoned, and how he gets there is he has a roommate. Her name is Law. Let me, one second. Her designation is LUH3417. But hints of individuality break through, very small hints. Law calls THX 1138 Tex, and like I just said, THX refers to her as La, which shows that you will never fully break the human spirit. I mean, unless you just lobotomize all of us. There's another character that puts THX in prison. His designation is SEN 5241. He's really a nuisance in this because he tries to become THX's roommate, and he kind of has a little power. He works within an office where he can assign people or reassign people, and he does that with Law. And THX actually writes him up for it, but THX gets taken into prison because of his violation, which is him and Law making love together. But since everyone's watched, the state finds out, and it's a big no-no. You can't do that because probably in this world, every human born now is a test tube baby. You can't make your own babies. Heaven forbid. So the three of them get imprisoned. Now in the documentary, it says that THX went to two different prisons. That's not how I felt it flowed. I felt as if the first part of imprisonment for THX was kind of like delousing. I'm not sure if this is a real thing in prisons. I just know it from films. They delouse prisoners before they enter the population. Well, in this universe, they are human guinea pigs. You see THX on this table, and this something that looks like a huge MRI system circling him, and he's getting poked and prodded and injected, or he's being forced to consume pills. And then the next scene, you see that he's been injected with something that can actually control him remotely, because there's these faceless scientists making different parts of his body twitch, or activating like pain receptors in his brain, and see how he reacts to it. And then he's taken out to this void, this white void that actually, despite it being indeterminately measurable, it feels very claustrophobic because he's not just thrown in by himself. He's thrown in with about 10 or 12 other individuals, and one of them is SEN. And most of them are just crazy. And that's why it feels claustrophobic, because you see these people that were put in here for various different reasons, and at one point were like THX, where they had the will to fight against the system in any way that they can. And where THX was fighting, he's really just being an individual. He didn't. There's no revolution started in this one. This is a story about the individual. And you see these group of people that have been here for God knows how long, that have retained their individuality but have also lost it because they've gone mad. And that's what's claustrophobic about it, because you could see yourself becoming that, or you could see THX, if he didn't hold on to his individuality, if he didn't have a strong will to survive, he would become the characters that are in this void. So I'm going to leave it at that. I don't want to spoil everything. I'm going to gush over George Lucas a bit. because this is my favorite film of his. There is like next to no exposition in this film at all. He shot it like a documentary, and it feels like you're watching a documentary. I actually thought of that this third time through before I watched the special features. It wasn't his intention to do that, and it just fits so perfectly. I don't think it would have really worked if it was shot like a narrative. Shooting it like this camera crew was dropped in this alien culture, or like maybe the future beyond this came back and did a documentary on this dystopian world. It really feels like that, especially the fact there's a lot of surveillance footage in this and seeing it from the other people's side, like the people that work within the system. And it just really works for this movie. It's the world building does itself because it's shot like a documentary. A lot of the world building actually it doesn't make sense, but it does at the same time. And what I mean by that is there's a lot of code and laws, and it sounds like gibberish, but the people talking, the state talking amongst themselves and conveying and communicating, they understand what's going on. But to us, it just sounds like random numbers. But no, there's a bunch of violations being done, but they never explain what they are. And it's just brilliant because it shows just how much of a dystopian this is. No one really knows what's going on. They're just brought up this way and programmed this way. A big part of the programming, at one point, SEN and THX leave the void. Just a little more plot. SEN on his own runs into this group of children, and they have this device that's in their arm, injected into their arm. And it turns out that they are learning that way. Information is being digitally downloaded into them. It's probably where the codes and laws are embedded in the humans in this universe. And that's how they can just sprout off these legal jargon when they're trying to apprehend THX and SEN. And the fact that there's next to no exposition here makes it feel like a real world. Because it's a great commentary on how we are today and where we could be going. It's scary how accurate not only THX1138, but how dystopian stories are scarily accurate in their reflection of humanity. As I said at the top, THX is my favorite Lucas film. It's brilliant how Lucas just sits the camera down and shows you this world and displays these characters and watch everything unfold. I highly recommend you get this movie on Blu-ray, especially the director's cut, which I'm pretty sure the director's cut's the only one that's available now. And you can do that by going down in the description below and clicking on the link. And in doing so, you'll be helping me out in achieving my dream of building a community of nerds where we can talk about movies or anime, games, or hopefully soon we can go back to conventions. So, just starting out again on the affiliate program, I have a 180-day probationary period. And at the end of that, Amazon will review me and decide whether to keep me on or not. I Googled 180 days from the day I'm filming this, which is Sunday. And that date is January 22nd, 2021. That's quite a good chunk of time for me to prove that I'm worth keeping on as an affiliate. So please help me out. Click on the link below and get your copy of THX1138. Let me know in the comments below your thoughts on THX1138 or other dystopian movies, such as 1984 or Fahrenheit 451, Equilibrium, The Matrix. Which one is your favorite? You can find Jamsin Entertainment on Facebook and YouTube and on Instagram. Listen to the podcast, Jamsin Podcast, on all your podcast platforms. Tune in next Saturday for the podcast on our third installment of the Riddick films. And next Throwback Thursday, I'm going to be looking at a Nicolas Cage movie called Mandy. This movie looks trippy. I can't wait to watch it, and I hear you got some classic Cage freakouts, so I'm looking forward to that. If you like what you saw, like it. If you think other people will like it, share it. If you really liked it, hit the subscribe button. Thank you for watching, and live your imagination.